Well, good morning. If you're watching live, I'm from the great state of Oregon. We hope to keep it great after this next election. Maybe we'll make some progress finally in the beautiful great state of Oregon. But welcome to the broadcast. We're in year 29. 29, the voice of the prophets. I keep forgetting that between shows. Year 29 is 1997. If I'm saying this right, that we started. So when we hit 2027, it'll be 30 years exactly. So people say, well, that's not, how did you grow so big, Steve, and all of that? Well, 30 years. That's it. I heard someone online complaining about why was Elijah List getting so big? And I'm thinking, you must have not watched very long, but we've been around for a long time, and we appreciate you all growing with us. In fact, to that end, if you all would remember to both like and follow or whatever, if you're on YouTube or Twitter, like or follow and subscribe, whichever the button is. I don't have them all memorized. And if you do both of those things, what it does, it's not like we just have to know if you're watching today. What happens is it changes the algorithm at the platforms, especially if you do it right away as you're beginning to watch, and then it'll tell people that this many people are watching. So the more of our people hit like right away and subscribe if they haven't, which is always free, then it'll push it out to more people, and then we grow faster. And that's what we like to become more relevant to more people. That's the way it is. So I always forget to do that. But anyway, welcome to the broadcast. Before we bring in Praying Medic, Dave Hayes, we're going to run it's time for another special feature that we filmed out of Uganda. It's filmed over a couple months because I heard people talking about it. They would film a little here and a little there. Some of you may have heard the story about a woman that dropped off her baby. We might have mentioned it before, but here is the full feature on it. And when I say full feature, I mean it's 5 minutes. So with that in mind, enjoy this as I did the first time when I saw it about a week ago. So here's that. It's called Grace. So here we go.
In 2021, ElijahStreams began funding life-giving water through wells in Uganda, Africa. Nearly 1,000 wells are now changing lives because of your generosity. Villages are being transformed. The gospel is being proclaimed. Discipleship groups are growing, and spiritual captives are being set free. This is a fulfillment of a word God gave to Steve Schultz more than 30 years ago.
And a voice said, Well Ministries, just as clear as I didn't have a question of what the words were. I didn't have a question of how it was spelled. Well Ministries.
After all these years,
to bless you so much,
and through your generosity, that word is being fulfilled.
thank you.
But that wasn't all. There was a second part to that message.
The voice speaks again, and it says, little orphan children.
This part of the word is unfolding now, and it's happening through the Well Ministry.
Through these water programs, we're actually meeting a lot of kids that are needing help.
ElijahStreams now sponsors more than 900 children. One of them is a little girl named Grace. Grace's story begins with an ordinary day, a stranger in need, and a cup of cold water. The year is 2023. Juliet and her 9 children have just sat down to lunch.
She asked us, "Can you please get me some drinking water?"
Water, so easily taken for granted until you don't have it. But on this day in October, Juliet's gift of food and water would have life-changing consequences. But Juliet stepped behind the wall again. The mother stood, and leaving the baby, she walked away.
But suddenly, the child was alone.
When Juliet returned, only the baby remained.
It was around noon. By night, we knew the mother had abandoned the child.
That night, it was more than baby Grace's cry that kept Juliet awake. It was the weight of decision. What would she do with this little girl? This undernourished, dirty, far too small for her age, abandoned child.
People in the community kept discouraging me from taking in the baby, saying, "The baby will not survive. That baby is going to die."
Despite their predictions, Grace became a part of the family. For 2 long years, Juliet did her best to provide, but it wasn't enough. By the time Show Mercy held a medical outreach in their area, baby Grace was emaciated and burning with fever.
The following day, I decided to carry the children to the medical camp. I woke up very early in the morning and I started walking with my daughter.
Hours later, she arrived tired, dusty, and desperate.
She did not line up, she just came straight to the emergency room and stood there.
Dr. Betty recognized the obvious signs of severe malnutrition and rushed baby Grace into the emergency room. Soon, this tiny body was hooked up to IVs and receiving treatment for malaria and severe infection. Baby Grace was pulled back from the edge of death that day, but there was still a long way to go. That's when ElijahStreams stepped in as Grace's sponsor, and things began to change.
When we came back, we found out that they had gained a lot of weight.
Baby Grace now receives the medical and nutritional care she needs.
I've got some big plans for you, girl.
There is a great change because now Grace is a very healthy baby. She can walk with support. She's very strong.
When Steve Schultz heard the word Well Ministries and Little Orphan Children, he couldn't have imagined a helpless, tiny little African baby abandoned on a doorstep. 30 years later, more than 900 children are being sponsored. Nearly 1,000 wells have been dug, and hundreds of thousands of lives have been affected by clean water. But God's heart is particularly close to the simple, quiet cries of the widow and the orphans. Through the Well Ministry, we are finding them, and through your faithful monthly donations, God is answering their cries. Thank you, ElijahStreams family.
I love it. I love it. I love it. When you saw this film, by the way, it showed the medical clinic, and if you were to look closely, it was kind of shot at an angle. There was a larger building and a not as large building all next to each other on that kind of whitish yellow. I can't remember exactly. We, as ElijahStreams, sewed into that main medical clinic, and then we came along and built that second building. When I say we, I mean you. You all built that second medical part of the clinic, and at the beginning, they were going to turn that into a child care or a children's medical thing, but the children's medical ministry grew so fast that they moved that as the main building. And so the last time I went through there, that part that you all built had become the pharmacy and also doctor's offices and different things And I'm sure before this is over, that will grow a lot more because, you can do that more simply in Uganda. There's not quite this bureaucratic mess, but you built that whole thing. And it was this crazy thing. I don't remember the exact thing. It was either $50,000 or $100,000 built that whole clinic, that second part of the building. It was ridiculously inexpensive compared to what it would cost here. But look what it did for those people. Had that not been there, this whole story wouldn't really be quite true because they had to have that growth in order to be able to afford the doctors to be able to go in that clinic. So, it all works out that way. By the way, we also bought a used but very nice ambulance. It's a gray color and it's grayish white, and they've used it many, many times to save lives if they have to take it into the city because there's someone who is dying or may die if they don't get them there. Then they go and it's a rough ride even with that. To get down that kind of hillside mountain, it's a very rough ride. Then you have kind of what amounts to freeways as well. There are some somewhat modern cities below, but this is the way people live in the bush. So thank you so much for your ongoing support. We appreciate it so much. So, all right, time to bring in praying medic Dave Hayes. Here we go with Dave. Here we go.
Eric called me and said, hey, what are your top 5 favorite Christian broadcasts? He asked, and I said, you got to get on ElijahStreams. You got to do it. Steve's great. You got to get on his show.
Dave Hayes, it's been way too long since you and I have been together on this show, huh?
It has been a while, Steve. Thanks for having me back on the show.
Yeah, we gotta have the two golden head boys. Nothing to show for it is basically what we have.
Yeah, my son is not appreciating the genetic issue that he's going to be dealing with soon. He's already got a little widow's peak going on.
Well, maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but the last time you and I were together, were you totally shaved off?
Yeah,
you were.
Yeah.
Okay. I for some reason I thought maybe he had hair. Why does he look a little different to me? But
no, I've been shaving for years.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we look great, don't we? God only made the saying, God only made a few perfect heads, the rest he covered with hair. We got that one down. So that's our comeback, no matter what they say.
There you go.
Well, listen, we got a number of things to go over, and I know people are going to want to know what are your thoughts and insights about this whole assassination attempt. And I know you used to be a follower of Q. You had something that connected to that and all of this. So not that we're going to do a thing on Q today, but there was a connection you made with Cash. So why don't you jump into what your thoughts are about this whole thing that just happened?
Yeah, sure. We'll set the Q thing aside for a minute. We'll come back to that shortly. The attempted assassination is obviously President Trump is over the target. As he said in his statement following the event at the White House Correspondents Association dinner. It's interesting because he highlighted a couple of things, one of which is he felt that there was starting to develop some unity among people who normally don't get along very well. He was talking about how people in the press were starting to warm up to him and his staff, and they were sharing ideas and talking and being civilized to each other when that had not been the case for a long time.
Wow.
And the reason why he wants to do this, a redo of this, of the dinner, is I think he wants to encourage greater fellowship, greater unity. People think that Trump is kind of an adversarial type of person. He's really not. Trump wants peace. Trump likes it when people can work together, when they can accomplish things together. He would much prefer to be on good terms with the press and Democrats. But because he's a reformer, because he wants to change a corrupt system and clean out the corruption, they see him as a threat. So they have developed an adversarial relationship to Trump because he is he speaks truth to power. and he wants to reform the system. But it was interesting that he made those comments that he felt like there is a growing sense of unity in Washington. So we had this guy who obviously, if you've read his manifesto, he was radicalized by the system, and this system was created intentionally. Democrat politicians, members of the mainstream press, centers of higher education have all been captured in this. It's ideological capture of institutions. And it started, I would say, in the 70s, certainly got a foothold in the 80s in places like UC Berkeley and the college that my brothers attended, Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington. Schools like that became centers for Marxism. They began teaching Marxism in higher education, and it has steadily progressed. You've had presidents like Barack Obama who have furthered this agenda of the institutionalization of Marxism.
Yeah.
They hate our country. They hate what our country stands for, and they want to destroy it. That's their end game. President Trump is trying to get our country go back to the roots, the foundations of liberty, equal justice under the law. And that's his vision. and the Marxists don't want that. They want to destroy this country, and they want to create a global superstate. That's their.
Can I ask you one question on that?
Yeah,
I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
When you say captured, there's always new people waking up, new people joining. When you say these institutions have been captured by who, for what? I mean, you kind of partially answered it, but captured by who?
All right. So let's see. Captured by what I would call the deep state.
Okay.
That's kind of the easiest way to phrase it. There has been this kind of a nebulous entity that we call the deep state. Some people call it the permanent state. Some people call it the administrative state. Part of it is the military industrial complex.
Yeah.
There is there's a complex of people, agencies, and institutions that have ideological goals, and they use the mainstream media, they use higher education, they use television, they use radio, they use the internet to brainwash the people into believing certain narratives. And because we act out of what we believe, they know that if they can get us to believe certain things, they can get us to act in certain ways. And part of the agenda is compliance. They really want to force compliance on us. They want us to comply with their agenda. One of the examples is COVID.
Yeah.
COVID was a psyop in many ways, not the least of which is they were testing the ability of institutions like the National Institutes of Health and the FDA and other medical entities and agencies. They were testing their ability to get people to comply with unreasonable requests, such as you need to wear a mask, you need social distancing 6 feet, 14 days to slow the spread. Don't go into the nursing home to see your dying grandparents. That's cruel.
Yeah.
You're going to kill them, right? They were trying to see how effective their brainwashing program was, and a lot of people fell for it. And as a little bit of a segue, we'll get back to the assassination attempt in a minute. I just wanted, this is a good place to drop a little promotion for a novel that I'm writing right now.
Oh yeah, show that.
Which has to do with this separation that has happened in the last 6 years. It probably started back in 2016 when Trump first came into office. That's when people started to notice this friction between family members and friends over politics. It never used to be like that. I mean, you and I are we've been around for a
Yeah.
long time.
Differences were common in families, and everybody got
I mean,
along
you know what?
anyway.
You're Democrat, I'm Republican. We see things differently, but hey, we can get together and have dinner, and we don't have to be at each other's throats. All of that changed in 2016 when Trump got into office. The mainstream media began this full court press where they began to push this narrative that Trump is crazy, Trump is unhinged, Trump is corrupt. That has transformed with the Epstein files into Trump is a pedophile. He's covering up for Epstein and all the pedophiles. And this is the reason why this guy went out and tried to kill Trump this over the weekend. In his manifesto, he said, I'm not going to let this pedophile, criminal, traitor affect me anymore. I have a chance to do something. I have a chance to make a change, and I'm going to do it. This guy he came out of Caltech. He came out of that institutional system where that has been captured by the deep state, and they're pushing these narratives of that conservatives are Nazis, that people like Trump are a threat to society, and they have to be eliminated.
We were all white supremacists.
We're all white supremacists. We're all racist. And as we know now, the Southern Poverty Law Center, which has put most of us on their little list of, that you're a racist. Everyone who had a Q YouTube channel got attacked by the Southern Poverty Law Center as a racist, a misogynist, a homophobe, all this other stuff. Well, now we find out Southern Poverty Law Center, what is it? It's a PSYOP. They were literally taking donations from their donors and funding fake racism, funding the Patriot Front. Those guys with the uniforms who would go out and do their little marchy thing around Washington, D.C. They'd pop up out of an escalator, always under protection. They do their little march around for 2 minutes and then disappear, and you wouldn't see them for 6 months. Funded by the Southern Poverty Law Center, and a nonprofit that was claiming to be fighting racism while they were funding it the whole time. That's part of the PSYOP. That is institutional capture. The mainstream media, higher education, the healthcare system, the education system, many areas of the tech industry, Facebook, Twitter, when it was under Jack Dorsey, captured in this ideological bubble where they were pushing all these fake narratives, portraying people like you and me as crazy Nazis, white supremacists. That is why you and I are having problems with our family members and our friends. And I wanted to let you guys know, this issue has affected almost everyone I know. This division where you suddenly can't talk to your kids anymore. You don't get to see your grandkids. Your next door neighbors have basically said, don't ring my doorbell. I don't want to talk to you. You're a Nazi. This issue of division has become huge. And I'm writing a novel that illustrates this issue from both sides of the wall, correct? Because people have put up walls. And the novel is going to illustrate the issue from both sides of the wall.
Is that, by the way, Dave, is that the one we looked at before the show, or is that a different one?
No, you're talking about Arcturus.
Yeah.
That's a science fiction novel.
Okay, that's different.
Different story. This is a novel I'm working on that is going to illustrate the problem of how families divide over various issues. And I'm going to propose a solution at the end of of the novel. It's going to be woven into there what I believe is the answer to the problem. Anyway, back to institutional capture. So these assassins who are trying to coming out and trying to kill Trump, universally, whether there are millions of people online who would love to try to take a shot at Trump, and there are a handful of people who actually are crazy enough to get the guns and go out there and try to take the shot. They're all part of this large group of people who have been brainwashed by the mainstream media, by their politicians, by their friends and family members on social media. They've been brainwashed into thinking that Trump and his followers are Nazis, white supremacists, we're a danger to society, we have to be eliminated. They can't talk to us. They can't associate with us. And so, what do we do about this? We it's a tragedy that this is happening, but it's intentional. And until the people that are behind this agenda are willing to stop weaponizing the airwaves, it's only going to continue, and it's going to continue to get worse.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as President Trump is successfully rooting out corruption in government. Here's an example. We've recently found out over the last few months that there's massive fraud in all these government entitlement programs, Medicare, Medicaid, the hospice fraud. There's all of this fraud going on where people are ripping off, not the government, they're ripping off taxpayers, charging and billing for services they're not providing. It's in California, it's in Minnesota, it's everywhere, it's in Florida. It's more prominent in blue states, but it's also present in red states. And this is the kind of thing that Dr. Oz and RFK Jr. are going after. And this fraud and the grift is what keeps these institutions and agencies in business. It's what keeps, like, when it came out that there was all of this fraud going on through the State Department, through the entities and agencies that the State Department props up. There's all this money, taxpayer money, going into these State Department agencies. And we found out that we were literally paying for the New York Times, Washington Post, the Atlantic, all of these leftist mainstream media outlets were all receiving funding from the State Department, from taxpayers, and no one knew anything about it.
And what was the funding supposed to be for? If they're for-profit organizations, why are they getting funding? Or maybe they're not for-profit.
Exactly. I mean, there's the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which has been funding National Public Radio, NPR, and all of that. But no one really knew that for-profit news agencies were being propped up by taxpayer money until the investigation came out. We found out, oh, hey, by the way, there's all this taxpayer money going through all these different agencies into nonprofits and into for-profit corporations. And because the mainstream news industry collapsed so hard, they had no readership, no following, they couldn't make any money. So then the powers that be started taking taxpayer money and funding this psychological operation against us, right?
Yeah.
So when I say institutional capture, that's what I'm talking about. State Department, Defense Department, education, healthcare, the whole system has been weaponized against people like us. They're using our money and they're running psychological operations to brainwash these people into thinking that we are Nazis, we're a threat to society, and we need to be eliminated. That's where this is all going.
Yeah, and ironically, it sounds pure evil, and it is, to break the law and do that, while at the same time, not to introduce a new subject, but just as a quick aside, the big pharma, the whole thing is using our money to fund intentionally drugs that they know will hurt us.
Right.
And everybody gets rich using our money with the supposed benefit that we're all going to get well. And it was never intended that we get well in most cases, not in all cases.
And what I was talking about just a minute ago through the State Department, I'm talking about USAID.
Yeah.
The big scandal that came out when it was found out that USAID was taking taxpayer money, funneling it into NGOs, non-government organizations, some of which are charities, and some of that money was actually used for human trafficking. Some of the Catholic charities were down at the border running a human trafficking operation off of money from USAID that came through the State Department. USAID was putting out all this money to fund mainstream media outlets. They were running all the color revolutions that have gone on over the years to overthrow legitimately democratically elected leaders, like the one in Ukraine in 2014. That color revolution was paid for, thank you, Victoria Nuland, by the State Department through USAID.
Wow.
So it's a mess, and Trump is trying to clean it up. But back to the assassination attempt.
Yeah.
You read the guy's manifesto and you can see what his motivation was. It's a crime right now that the Department of Homeland Security, which funds Secret Service, is not funded. They have not been funded now for, I think,
so all of those people that in those videos are not getting paid to protect the president.
And we have a friend whose son is in the Secret Service, and he said morale is pretty low because the hours are long, the work is very difficult, and no one wants to work those kind of hours. Every time anything happens, you get lit up by the mainstream media, you're lit up on social media, you're made fun of and mocked. It's very difficult to recruit anyone to work in the Secret Service. They have a huge recruiting problem. They have a manpower problem, recruiting problem. Now they have a budgetary problem. They're not getting paid. A lot of Secret Service members and people who work for DHS are putting their food bills and their rent on credit cards because they don't have any money coming in. So I would go a little easy on these people. They're working under very difficult conditions.
Well, yeah, they're right. What you mean, I think, is that people have been picking on them for you didn't do a good job protecting the president. And, in some senses, we're sort of fortunate that they all didn't walk off the job. But this is another blue state thing.
It's very difficult to 100% prevent someone from taking a shot if they want to take a shot.
Yeah.
You don't have to get close to the president to take a shot. You can do it from a long ways away.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to prevent that from happening. And there was a lot of things working against him at this particular venue. It wasn't the White House. It was a hotel. It was an older hotel. The event was not under the control of the White House. It was under the control of the White House Correspondents Association, which is run by a separate agency. They had control of this event. They were actually responsible for security. The only reason Secret Service was there was because of J.D. Vance and Trump. They brought their Secret Service teams with them.
Really? Okay.
If it would have been at the White House, it would have been a totally different situation. This was at a hotel.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say I know Trump right after it. I mean, within 30 minutes, 60 minutes after the attempt, he's out there saying, if we had the ballroom, when we finally get the ballroom,
wouldn't have happened.
This never could have happened because they could be so well staffed with emergency exits and all of that stuff, or none.
Well, and the judge who put the injunction in place to stop the building of the ballroom, literally, in his opinion, said that Trump has not demonstrated a national security interest in building the ballroom.
I mean, this is all Obama appointed stuff. Once in a while, you come up to a Bush appointed someone that'll do that, or conservative. But most of them, and some of those are on the tape by now, and they're but they're decreeing from their judges' bench.
Yeah.
Evil things, I mean, the scripture talks about the judges, they've all turned bad, basically. That's what we're dealing with, man.
No one knew years ago how corrupt our judiciary system is.
Not even.
It's been an eye opener for me over the last few years, and kind of hard to believe how bad the courts are in certain parts of the country. Certainly in places like Washington, D.C. and Virginia, it's terrible. But it is what it is. We have to pray that God will remove these corrupt judges and bring in righteous judges.
I think I can almost hear not in my ear, but in my mind's ear, people saying, what good does it do to pray? We've been praying and look at what keeps happening. But I would respond, look what keeps not happening. the president keeps not getting killed. They said that about President Washington, George Washington. Came home with bullet holes through and through his jacket that should have hit him, and he was untouched. I think there's a certain grace, but it's there because we are all praying. So don't give up because you're not seeing it. And hey, in fact, I want you to talk about that justice thing too, because the Cash Patel thing that you were talking about.
Yeah. Okay. So let's shift gears without a segue here. Cash Patel and justice.
Yeah.
The reason why we pray.
Yeah. Good.
Because if we don't, we're going to become like China. We're going to have surveillance everywhere. We're going to have social credit scores where if you say the wrong thing on social media, you won't be able to buy food this week. We don't want to become like China. We want to become more. We want to make America great again. Yeah. We want it to be that land of the free and the home of the brave.
Exactly.
So we have to continue praying. And what are we praying into? We're praying for things like people like Cash Patel, who knows where the bodies are buried, by the way, to be able to do his investigations unimpeded, where he can get to the bottom of all of this criminal activity, and we can start seeing people arrested. Now, last weekend, Cash Patel went on, I think he was on with Maria Bartiromo, and made a very bold statement. He said, look, I am not going to let go of this Russiagate hoax. We're investigating it. We've got grand juries impaneled. We're hearing testimony. Brennan, Comey, Clapper, Susan Rice, Valerie Jarrett,
and Obama, right?
They've all been subpoenaed. They're all going to come in and testify. He says, there are going to be arrests. It is coming. Mark my words. So Cash Patel, director of the FBI, he was with Devin Nunes on the House Intelligence Committee when all of this started. Devin Nunes ran the investigation of the abuse of FISA against the Trump campaign and then against the Trump administration in 2016, 2017. Nunes ran the investigation. Cash Patel was his lead attorney. Cash did the digging and figured out who was doing what, how they got these FISA warrants, how they illegally surveilled the campaign, and then how they got the Mueller investigation, how they got the impeachment hoax #1 and the second impeachment hoax, and all the other follow-on crimes that came after that. And I say crimes because what they're doing, we know for sure there is a grand jury impaneled down in South Florida that is hearing evidence regarding this, what they're calling a grand conspiracy. Conspiracy is not a theory, it is a felony. And they are investigating crimes committed by all these people against President Trump and his campaign and his administration during the first administration and into the second administration too. Part of it is the illegal surveillance of the Trump campaign using false testimony in a FISA court. That goes back to surveilling Carter Page under FISA. They got FISA surveillance warrants on Carter Page 4 times, and because of Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA allows you not just to surveil the target of the investigation, but anyone in their orbit, anyone that they're communicating with, emailing, texting, all those people are swept up in the investigation. You can then read the text messages and emails of all those people. And that was happening to the Trump campaign. And then when President Trump got into office, that investigation continued. It morphed into the Mueller investigation, which turned out to be a big nothing burger. However, the angle that it looks like the Department of Justice is going toward is a criminal conspiracy.
And are either of those in the category of treason or sedition, or it's its own category where you just spend some prison time and then you're done? If you know, I mean, maybe you don't know, but
yeah. how much time do you have?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing good, but I mean,
I'll be brief.
yeah, no, you're fine, but we may not get all of the topics, but this is really interesting to the folks.
None of the crimes that we believe are being charged or investigated right now would rise to the level of treason. However, because treason is a specific type of crime, specific type of charge, and it is adjudicated in a certain way. It's normally adjudicated in a military court.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just going to throw this out there. People like James Clapper. Clapper was a 4-star general. Clapper could be recalled to active military duty, and he could be charged in a military trial because he is military, former military, right? So I'm not saying that's happened. I'm saying it could happen. Anyone who has prior military service could be recalled, and they could end up in a military trial. Now,
before you go on, just on that, do you believe it's possible? I think I've heard that this is possible and maybe even likely that if you are, if your crime did in fact rise to treason, and let's say you're selling, let's say you're betraying your country through selling military secrets, or through giving out, this is where we're going to hit Iran next, and this is the place and this is the time. That's whatever that is. That's treason. It would seem like, and it seems like that you would then instead had to get more. But
it's typically charged as espionage.
Okay.
If you leak classified information, and we've had a lot of this happening in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
They're arresting all these people, former military. One of the guys who was involved in the operation down in Venezuela, one of the special forces guys, he just got charged because he made a bet. He won a $400,000 bet.
Oh, that's right.
On an online betting service, and he's being charged with basically compromising the situation. I don't know if they're charging him with releasing I think it's related to classified information.
Yeah, that's the one that Senator Loomis out of Florida, wanted Trump to forgive that one.
Yeah, all these people who are selling secrets to China.
Yeah.
Taking classified information and giving it to foreign adversaries. Normally, the charge there is espionage, which is 20 years. The sentence for that is 20 years in prison. But if you look at the treason statute, there are 3 crimes described together: treason, sedition, and subversive activities. So there's 3 different crimes. They're all under the same statute. The subversive activities is interesting because one of the criteria for being charged under that statute is knowingly providing, printing, distributing, publishing information that is in an attempt to overthrow the government.
Is that similar to aid and comfort to the enemy? Is that in that
similar? It's similar, but it's different.
Different. Okay.
And here's why it's relevant.
Okay.
The mainstream media has been complicit in this conspiracy to overthrow the Trump administration from the very beginning. And you can, take guys like Isikoff and Natasha Bertrand and all these other people in Washington Post, Yahoo, New York Times. They were all receiving sometimes classified information and publishing it in an attempt to overthrow a duly elected President Trump. I think you could make a case that these people could be charged under that statute because the statute reads, anyone who publishes, prints, distributes information in an attempt to overthrow the government can be charged under the statute. So
and it seems to me, before you say that a lot of those people you're describing, Dave, are going to end up in Gitmo. I truly believe that. I think more of that. I
don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know, but it's. I just want to make people aware that there is a statute that could bring in the media into this thing. Now, let's talk about people like Andrew McCabe, Comey, Clapper, Brennan, all the other cast of characters, even Obama. Obama could be charged. Now, he can't be charged for actions that he took while he was president. There's presidential immunity for all of that.
Okay.
But after January 20th, 2017, when Obama was no longer president, anything he did that could be considered an act in furtherance of the conspiracy, going back to the original conspiracy, he could be charged for. So let me talk about conspiracy. Conspiracy is a felony. All of the federal conspiracy statutes are felonies. And I think the obvious felony charge that this grand jury is investigating is conspiracy against rights. And let me explain where that goes.
Okay.
Conspiracy against rights is a felony, and here's the description of it. Anyone who deprives someone of their constitutional rights and does it in coordination with others
That's a conspiracy part.
That is a violation of the conspiracy against rights. Let me give you a clear example. When James Comey signed that FISA application that went to the FISA court to surveil Carter Page, they knowingly included false information. Knowingly included false information to deprive Carter Page of his Fourth Amendment right against reasonable search and seizure. So the Fourth Amendment guarantees American citizens the right to live it without unreasonable search and seizure by the government, unreasonable surveillance. When Comey knowingly lied on that FISA application, he and McCabe, who signed off on it, Peter Strzok, who signed off on it, they all signed off on this application. They all conspired against Carter Page to deprive him of his constitutional right against unreasonable search and seizure. Fourth Amendment, conspiracy against rights. It's a felony.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing. Most federal charges have a 5-year statute of limitations. However, the issue with conspiracy is, this is why it's so cool for us. When you commit a crime under the conspiracy statute, the statute of limitations starts to toll, and it's 5 years for most federal crimes. Under the conspiracy statute, every time anyone in the conspiracy commits an act in furtherance of the conspiracy, the statute of limitations sets out another 5 years. And if someone does another act in furtherance of the conspiracy,
okay. So if they're committing these all day long, every count that they're convicted on.
And Brennan and Clapper have all testified in the last 5 years in front of Congress, and they lied to cover up the original conspiracy. They've all committed acts in furtherance of the conspiracy.
Wow.
And it doesn't just push out the 5-year statute of limitations for them. It pushes out that 5-year statute of limitations for everyone in the conspiracy. So here's where Barack Obama is potentially in legal jeopardy. If Obama, and here's how you get out of the conspiracy charge. If you are a co-conspirator in this criminal enterprise, you have to make a clear declaration and take action, removing yourself from the conspiracy. All right. That's the only way you get out of this. You have to do something like go to the Department of Justice and say, you know what? I was involved in this criminal activity and I am exonerating myself of it. I'm washing my hands of it. These people are guilty as hell and I don't want to be any part of it anymore. I'm not participating in this.
So if they have to become a witness against the others that they were
you don't have to, but you have to disavow your actions in this conspiracy. And you have to pray to God that they don't charge anybody within the next 5 years, because from the day you leave the conspiracy, there's still a 5-year statute of limitations where they can charge you. The day that you say, I am out of this conspiracy, that's when the 5-year statute starts to run for you.
Just you.
So Barack Obama has not yet removed himself from the conspiracy. In fact, nobody has. None of these people have removed themselves from the criminal conspiracy. They are all liable to be charged today, because they can, every time they go on with Rachel Maddow or Anderson Cooper and tell another lie to try to cover up the original crime, they are removing that statute of limitations another 5 years out for everybody in the conspiracy. So there are other conspiracy charges that could come out of this. And let me just mention this real quick.
Yeah.
Another charge is conspiracy against rights with respect to the break-in, the search at Mar-a-Lago. When the DOJ, FBI went down to Mar-a-Lago looking for all those classified documents, there's emails that came out that Kash Patel declassified. The emails show that the FBI told Department of Justice there is no probable cause for this search. And DOJ said, we don't care, we're going to go there anyway. And FBI came back and said, wait a second, you don't understand. Not only is there not probable cause, we don't think what you're looking for is there. There's not just no probable cause that Trump committed a crime. There's no reason to believe the documents you're looking for are actually there. And DOJ said, we don't care, we're going to do it.
Who was DOJ head at that time? Do you know?
Chris Wray.
Oh, Christopher Wray, boy.
No. Sorry, Chris Wray was FBI. That was Merrick Garland.
Oh yeah. Well,
Merrick Garland, the deep state puppet. He was Attorney General.
Yeah.
So when they did the raid on Mar-a-Lago, that's another violation of the constitutional rights. President Trump has a right against unreasonable search and seizure, and they violated his constitutional rights again. It's another charge of conspiracy against rights, right? So then there's all of the lying, making false statements to a federal officer is a 1001 charge. That's like the lowest federal charge there is. Some of these people are going to be charged with 1001 for lying. There's other charges that'll probably come along. We don't know. But all of this is to say, I would this is not a time to be black-pilled. There's good reason to believe. There's good reason to believe that the arrests are coming in. Actually, I had a dream.
Define black-pilled. I know red-pilled and blue-pilled, but what is black-pilled?
All right. Black-pilled is when you have come under the belief that no one's ever going to be arrested. Nothing is ever going to change. There's no use in praying. The deep state is in control. The deep state's in charge. Trump has lost the plot. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's surrounded by evil people. Trump can't do anything right. There'll never be any arrests. That's black-pilled.
Yeah, and the rapture's probably tomorrow as a result, and all of that stuff. All right. Wow. So, hey,
don't be black-pilled. Don't be black-pilled. Don't be a doomer, or don't be a doom fag, as we call them on the chants. Because
I hadn't heard that one.
There is reason to believe that the arrests are coming. And I had a dream about 6 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. Tell us that.
Yeah, in this dream, and I haven't had any dreams about this subject in a long time. This one came out of the blue. In the dream, I saw this really, really long investigation. It was just going on forever and ever. It just seemed like for years. Like, how long are you guys going to investigate this stuff? There was this massive, years-long criminal investigation. And at the end of the dream, whammo, there was a whole bunch of people that got arrested. High-level government people. They all got arrested at the same time. And I was like, wow, really? That's interesting. Is that coming? I'm not going to promise you, but that's something we can pray into.
Yeah.
We can pray into this revelation from God that the arrests are coming. And by the way, if you know anything about RICO, racketeering charges, conspiracy is a racketeering charge.
Okay.
It's under the RICO statute. And when they arrest people in a racketeering criminal syndicate action, they typically arrest everybody on the same day. They get a whole bunch of U.S. Marshals together. They go out and they just arrest everybody on the same day.
And so, I mean, with the kind of numbers we're talking about, and racketeering being an easier charge to get, I think, than all those others you've mentioned, right? Isn't racketeering pretty easy to get? You could be talking about hundreds or thousands of people, right?
I think the bar for probable cause is relatively low for racketeering for conspiracy. And it's typically used like in drug cartels when they go after a big drug syndicate, or there's human trafficking, or there's sexual exploitation of minors. They do these busts where they do a sting operation over the course of several months, and then they go out and they arrest like 170 people all at once and bring them all in as part of this racketeering, this conspiracy. That's the kind of thing we're looking at, but it would apply to people who former government officials, potentially some current government officials.
Yeah.
And I'm not promising they're going to all be arrested on the same day. I'm simply saying when the DOJ brings charges in a racketeering case, they typically arrest everybody on the same day. So, and you usually don't hear anything about it until it happens. And we already have cash patel promising the arrests are coming. So,
I might have lose this one. Oh, I want to ask you this. This is just an opinion, and you may be able to answer. I'm only asking for a 1 or 2 minute opinion, but do you find yourselves, as almost a yes or no question, but then you could elaborate, sometimes saying, I can't always figure out who's good a person and who's a bad person, and who's, Trump keeps using this term, they're
central casting.
They're central casting. He keeps saying they're central casting. He said it over, and I saw a clip this morning where he said it like there was all the clips weaved together. There's like 30 or 40 clips where he said he's central casting. He's central casting.
Yeah.
So talk about what he means.
I think people are reading way too much into the central.
Okay, but what does he mean?
He means literally what he says. Central casting. All right. So Trump is 80 years old. Okay. He is one of the older people in the baby boomer generation.
Yeah.
Like we're some of the youngest, and he is one of the oldest. In the culture of the 1950s and 60s, the term central casting simply was a way to tell someone, you know what, that guy looks the part. Like he's just like, if you're going to make a movie about somebody, that's the guy you would pick. Okay. The part. He's kind of central casting. He looks like the part. Mike Pence is kind of looks the part of a career politician. He's central casting.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's all that means. I don't think Trump is signaling to us that we're literally watching a movie. I don't think President Trump came into the White House and handed out everybody a script and is having them read a script and playing a part in a movie. I don't think that's at all what he means by that. That's just my
and my belief is somewhere in between. I've never heard this explanation that you just give, so that makes perfect sense. I still feel like, because I've had other people come on, Dr. Jen Halper Hayes, who's been on, and Trump has forwarded her stuff all over the world. Listen to her, and she says this. She says, I don't like the term central casting or that you're watching a movie, because actually real people are getting hurt. Now, her point was, she was saying without saying, she was saying, I'm not saying there's not a movie involved here. I'm not saying there aren't parts being played from here and there. I'm just saying I don't like that being emphasized, because real people get hurt in real wars. So I guess we'll all play it out. I'm just kind of curious if you had any thoughts. One last question, and then we'll talk about your book for a second.
Okay.
Just before I came on the air, you were, in fact, talking about where all the rest, and of course, right now you're saying they're all going to happen in a moment. but I sensed a little frustration even on your part. Like, why does he keep saying there's arrests and they're not coming? Did you have anything more that you were going to add on there?
No, not really.
Okay.
I'm not trying to give people hopium.
Well, yeah, false hope or whatever.
I do not push hopium.
Yeah.
I try to provide information that is as realistic as possible. I literally had a guy one time private message me saying, "Hey man, I'm feeling pretty down. Do you have any hopium for me?" I was like, dude, I don't push hopium. Like, it is what it is. Like, if
for anyone, and I'm again, that's the one where I'm in the middle. I'm almost partway towards that guy, because I'd really have a little. I would really sometimes rather have a little optimistic hopium. Like, I hope this comes out to be true, but where I don't live on it, because hopium, as you know, is based on the word opium. And so that, like, people get addicted to that.
It's a delusion, is what it is. And I don't want to be delusional. I'm simply telling people, look, Kash Patel, director of the FBI, said, look, arrests are coming. We're not giving up on this. These people tried to ruin my life. They tried to ruin Trump's life. We're not giving up on this. And I'll say one last thing. Yeah. You guys need to realize this is a zero-sum game. What do I mean by that? I mean this. The Democrats have made very clear for years that they intend to destroy Donald Trump's life. They intend to destroy his family. They intend to destroy his business.
Yeah.
No one has more at stake in this than Donald Trump. If Trump cannot put these people in jail and end this cycle of violence, when he gets out of office, he and his family members are going to be toast. Trump knows that.
Yeah, he does.
So if Trump has got the wrong people at FBI and DOJ, and if Trump cannot make this happen, he suffers more than anyone.
Yeah.
So if you think that this is bad on you because you haven't had the arrests that you want, think of President Trump and what's going to happen to him if this doesn't, if he can't pull this off. It's going to be horrible for him, his family, everybody in the White House who is with him. They're all going to come under attack.
Well, and I'm not of that any illusions either, because if that were to happen, God forbid, and I don't think it's going to happen, but we have to pray and act and speak and share. But if it does, they're coming after us too. They're going to, especially the ones.
Oh, they will. They've already said they're coming after us.
Whoever strongly supported Trump, they've got all the footage. Blah blah blah. Robin Bullock reminded me one time, 3 or 4 years ago, Steve, is like the Revolutionary War. If they hadn't won that, they would all have been hanged for treason.
Yeah, and it's a high risk game that we're playing.
It is a high risk, so we better play to win, all of us.
And we need to play to win, and we need to pray to win.
Yeah, totally. Well, Dave, you've got a couple of books that they've got graphics for you, so you guys want to pull that up, and he can talk about each one. There's 2 of them.
Okay, so we have Arcturus, it's the first book in a trilogy that I'm writing, and actually all 3 books are written. I need to do some editing on books 2 and 3, but this book is a spiritual science fiction book. And the question in this book is, what would happen if we encountered life that was more spiritually advanced than us? Because a lot of people, when they think about extraterrestrials and aliens and life on other planets, they always think, well, we are the most spiritually evolved people that there are in the universe. We know about Jesus. We walk with God. No one could possibly be more spiritual than us. Well, what if there is a race and a planet where God is much more well known than he is on Earth? And that's kind of the idea of Arcturus.
Okay. I don't want to ruin it. So that sounds intriguing. It could go so many directions with that, right? So
yeah.
But
it's a good book. It's got really good reviews. People love it. I had a great time writing it. It was a lot of fun to write science fiction, build a world. And it's about a guy who is he's a mountain climber and a wilderness guide, and he is emotionally traumatized.
Mm.
And he is kidnapped and taken to this planet against his will because the mission needs his skills and no one else can do this mission except him. And he is an emotional wreck.
Mm.
And so the mission leader has to find a way to get Adam, the main character, to cooperate with the mission against his will. there's all kinds of conflict in this.
Sounds really good. Now, some people, like my wife, if she, I don't know if this is the type, she reads novel after novel, mostly Christian or biographies or historical, that kind of thing. But the longer the book is, the happier she is. How many pages is this?
It is, I think, 302 pages.
Wow.
It's the longest book I've ever written.
I can imagine. I can imagine. I'm supposed to be working on my second one. The first one I finished finally by 2007. Let you know how ineffective. Yeah, it's a lot. But people that are writers, they get up in the morning. I think this must describe you, or you wouldn't do it.
Yes.
Excited about what they're going to create on the blank page.
In the back of my brain, I'm always thinking like, okay, what book can I work on next? What chapters am I going to work on next? How does this trilogy fit together? I'm also working on a series of 6 books.
My goodness.
I'm working on a long story that covers the history of a planet over about 1,000 years. So think something like Dune or The Foundation.
Okay.
This series of books, 6 books, covers the transformation of a society over 1,000 years. And I'm having a great time writing this long epic
well, you must be thinking, boy, when people read this, it's going to blow their minds, and I'm going to lead. That must be kind of a head trip to think how you can lead people along.
Yes,
and, yeah,
it is a bit trippy to wonder, like, if I write 6 books, what are people going to think about? Not just the first book, but the entire series. Like, is it worth reading? Is the story worth telling?
Yeah.
I think it is. I think it's a good story.
Well, I wrote a mini book one time years and years ago, in about 1995-ish. And there was a lady there that was, she's not a believer, but it was a Christian-based thing. But since she was a writer, I had her read this 50-page mini book, and it was all based on a true story.
Okay.
And it was a theological base, and there were some really surprise endings the surprise endings makes the whole point of the book.
Right.
And she made the comment, and I looked at her and she said, people don't like being surprised when they read a book. And I thought, well, what book do you read? I love being surprised when I read a book.
I think people like to be surprised when they read it.
And I thought, she was kind of in that new age venue, and it was a different business I used to have. And so she didn't have my life perspective or Christian perspective, but I just thought I would get a writer's perspective, and that's what she came up with. So I never really took that seriously. I thought, if you don't write for surprises, why would you write at all?
Exactly. I'm with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right, we got that. And put his link up one more time. Do you want people to go to just your site as opposed to Amazon?
No, you can go to Amazon. You got my books on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or Apple Books, wherever you want to get books at.
Let me just throw this one out. Of all the books you've written so far, and you can include the new sci-fi one. I don't know if you consider it sci-fi.
What's my favorite book?
Well, yes. Give me your favorite and give me your best-selling.
Oh, well, you have the image for the best-selling book, which is Defeating Your Adversary in the Court of Heaven.
Okay, can they order it yet or no?
Yeah, that book has been out for almost 10 years, I think.
Okay, good. Defeating. That's your best-selling. Is it your favorite as well?
No. It's a short little book. It's only like 19 or 20 pages. It's not a very. Wow. It's just a thin little. Like it's a booklet. Yeah. It's not theologically deep. It's not very long. It gives a brief overview of how to approach the court of accusation and address accusations against you. Short little book. You can read it literally read it in like 20 minutes.
Is that also at Amazon?
Yeah, that's on Amazon. That is our best-selling book ever. Probably tied with the emotional healing book, the little thin emotional healing book. But my favorite book still to this day is The Gates of Shiloh. I had an awesome time writing the book, The Gates of Shiloh.
Wow.
It was my first novel, and it's a story about an emotionally traumatized woman and how she meets Jesus.
Wow.
And I try to portray Jesus
There it is.
in this book in a way that makes him relatable to there you go. In a way that makes him, Jesus, relatable to people who are afraid of religion, don't like religion, but know there's something out there supernatural. The Gates of Shiloh, I think, is a really good story. And in a lot of different respects, it's still my favorite book.
Awesome. That's good. And I bet Doreen would love that one too. So I don't tend to be a reader because I'm so busy all the time. I remember I was watching.
All right.
I was watching Everybody Loves Raymond reruns not that long ago, and she's trying to get Raymond to pick a bucket list, and she says, "Don't you ever want Raymond to just write the great American novel?" Of course, he's a writer on TV, and he says, "I don't even want to." He says, "Don't you want to write the great American novel?" And he says, "I don't even want to read the great American novel." He's not high energy. He wants to come home and
all right.
That's funny. All right. Well, good to have you, Dave. And I hope we've got everything out for you. And a quick reminder that let's see who's going to be on. Oh, Kim Robinson will be with us in the morning at 11 o'clock Pacific. Don't miss that. Always talking about heaven. Great stories every time, too. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Dave, have a great day. And we will see you all later. Bye-bye.